This book is called 4,000 Weeks, and on the first page of it, it says, Introduction, in the long run, we're all dead. This book got me thinking, how are we spending our time as a team at ATX? Up until now, our call booking system looked like a complete mess. We'd receive an email, we'd be coordinating on time zones. It's time to revamp the call booking system to create a streamlined, automated machine. Here's a bird's eye view of the system that we're going to be building. The entire workflow starts when the user submits an intro call form. We'll then use Zapier to pipe that information through to Attio. If we click over to this funnel, we can see that we're focusing on the third and fourth step in the sales funnel, and we're using Fillout, Cow.com, Zapier, and Attio to do this. So let's unpack why this is the case. If we were building out this workflow like a recipe, we could see that we have three key stages: capture, send, and store. In the capture phase, we need one scheduler and one form provider. In the send stage, we need a webhook. And in the store stage, we need one CRM. This means you can replicate this exact workflow with your own tools of choice. But at ADX, we use Fillout and Cow.com and Zapier. But this is a really simple workflow. We only have three key phases. Let's jump over to the first phase, building out the scheduler, which we will need before we do anything else. You can use this space to customize your meeting availability, assign who takes a given call, set up integrations with Zoom and Google Meets. We're going to connect this Cow.com event type to a given form. Fillout gives us a whole bunch of nice design choices. This Fillout is comprised of 6 different short text inputs: first name, last name, email, company size, headquarters, website, and phone number. The designs are super mobile responsive, and it has a great API, meaning it's very easy to set up data syncs from Fillout to other tools. There is one option to integrate Fillout directly with Attio, but it's a little bit simplistic for our needs. However, if you only need to add a given record to a custom object or standard object in Attio, you can certainly do that with the integration provided by Fillout. We can see the native integration includes create or update, where we can use the email address provided in the form to check in Attio to see whether or not that contact already exists. But in our workflow, we're going to be piping over a whole bunch of other information like headquarters, website, phone number, and we're also going to be adding it to a custom object as well as the person and company object. So we're going to have to use Zapier in this case. Okay, let's jump over to the next phase of this workflow. We're going to set up a Zapier to build out a new automation that will take the information from Fillout and then send it through to Attio. On this first step, we can see we're using the new submission trigger in Zapier directly connected to Fillout. In the configure section, all we need to do is choose the form that we would like to monitor, and then we can add in our next step. In this case, we're creating or updating a record in Attio. First of all, we want to create or update the person object, and we can select that on the top right corner inside of Zapier. We can then add a whole bunch of attributes that we would like to capture in Attio from the answers provided on Fillout. Now, before we add the company, we need to extract out the domain name provided in the user's email using a formatter by Zapier step. Feel free to pause this video and copy the regex pattern to extract out the domain from the email, but we will need this before we set up the create or update company record. The reason create or update record is important, and we're not just using create record, is we don't want to create 2 instances of a given company. So if Jane from Airbnb sets up a call, but Airbnb already exists in your Attio workspace, we want to update that, and we don't necessarily want to create a duplicate version of it. However, for deals, we can use the create record step because we know for sure that the deal will not already exist if it's their first time booking with us. Just like with company in person, we can capture any values from the form and add them to Attio. Finally, I'm going to add a note template because I'd like an intro call to load up with a preset of questions. Create note step in Zapier is awesome because Attio doesn't actually have a create note workflow block natively. Once we've clicked over to Attio, we can see we have our deal pipeline. This is just the deals object in a Kanban view. And we have the option to toggle on other attributes via the view settings, such as turning on company size that we were capturing from the form. If we click into the record, we can see Zapier has both created the entry and also loaded up the intro call note template, which if we click into, is now capturing the date of the intro call based on the Fillout and the Cow.com scheduler, as well as the default questions. On the right-hand side, we can open up and view all of the attributes that we captured on the intro call form, including name. It has set it to call booked automatically and company size. I'm also capturing deal source here, which is done in the Zapier step when we created the deal record. I love this time zone AI attribute. It's a little bit long at the moment, but the prompt essentially generates suggested meeting times for instances where you do end up manually coordinating meetings. We can see that based on Billy Smith being from Andorra, It's suggesting that we coordinate meeting times between 5 and 9 CEST, which is pretty awesome, and I love Attio's capability to do this. Our final workflow step is to create a notification in Slack. This is a super simple 3-step workflow in Attio. That means when a record is created, and we apply a filter block to say when this created record has the deal stage of call booked, then go ahead and post a message to the Slack channel. You can just connect your Slack straight away. It's really intuitive. You can choose which channel you post to. We can call and display any variable data in this workflow directly in Slack. So we can say, hey everyone, a new call has been booked with X company and Y name. And if we want to add a new variable, we can simply select a toggle and insert the variables from the data.